I walked into a listing of his in Imperial Beach and met Jamie as one of the, probably one of the 50 other realtors that I had met. I think what impressed me about Jamie was that he wasn't somebody that was sitting back on, on years of work that he could just kind of let deals come to him. He was very proactive, and so I feel like that mixed with a natural talent and being able to have a really intimate knowledge of the market really helped. I think what intrigued me is that he worked in Imperial Beach, but his real expertise was in Coronado.
And we really wanted Coronado.
Yeah.
Every time coming over the bridge, it was like, we really want to live here.
So I got to talking to Jamie at this open house, and I explained, I'm just a looky-loo, I'm not really in the market yet, but he was very open to the idea of developing a relationship where we could see properties and we could start to get a feel for the market so that at that moment that I was ready, I would be able to jump and seize the opportunity. I was really hopeful to be able to buy a house for me and my kids and be close to their grandparents and me in Coronado.
We were really interested in Coronado. Never thought it could actually happen, but very interested in doing that and trying to make it happen.
Jamie would, contact me about a listing, or I would contact him about something new that I saw, and we'd go look at it.
He hand-selected properties all up the coast with a 90% hit rate. The houses he showed us were houses that got us excited. He asked us to give him feedback in specific ways, and he was taking all that feedback we gave him. For example, we found one house in Coronado that was in our price range, but it didn't have 6 chairs at the table in one of the main pictures, which is so silly, but we have 6 people in our family, and I just almost broke down, and I was like, well, I want to live there so bad, but I can't live in a place where my kids where we can't all eat dinner together. And I never saw a house with that square footage ever again.
When the house on Country Club came up, I immediately knew it was important based on all of the previous defining we had done for months and years. There were 9 other showings that same day that we went to go look at it. We were one of 6 offers that came in, and we're the only non-cash offer. We knew that we needed to be aggressive. And Jamie basically gave us a list of things that he would do if it was him. Get your offer in first, send a letter, and be really aggressive with the price and with the terms. And every single one of those things checked the box for us and ended up being the difference maker in actually winning the property.
So we had to strategize about what the proper offer was based both on what I was able to do, but also what would be enough to get their attention.
His passion and willingness to put the time and work in, that's not something that I would expect from anyone in any profession, and yet he did it.
He put time into figuring out what's the right way to convey the offer itself. And so that was part of that has to do with the fact that we were making a contingency offer on a sale in Austin. But Jamie talked to our realtor in Austin and understood that the Austin real estate market was red hot and that should not be an issue. And he did all of this while we were in Austin.
In order to make our dream of coming to Coronado happen, we needed to sell our house in Austin, and we needed to sell it fast. We needed to have our realtor there and Jamie work together. And Jamie really took a leadership role in that relationship. It was a lot of complications, and Jamie navigated all of those really well. We trusted Jamie so much that we actually made an offer and signed a contract on a house that we had never physically walked through. I can't imagine doing that with any other agent. I can't imagine doing it with someone that I didn't trust. I think it says a lot about him that once we had been through the house and we did get to know more about it, there were no surprises.
We came up with a very attractive offer, and we entered escrow, and then we had a series of complications. It was a driveway easement. It went through the entire side yard. Basically, effectively, if someone had wanted to exercise the right to it, would have effectively taken out your entire yard. All I knew is I wanted the easement off the property, and I didn't really know how to go about doing that. And we were able to work with the owner as well as the easement holder to remove that and still come to a deal where all the parties were in agreement and the sale went through. A deal within a deal. We saw a few issues with the property during our escrow process. We were able to negotiate some repairs to get made that really improved the value, as well as getting a small credit. It's been a very easy home for my kids to get to and from school. It's allowed them to have independence, which is the main thing I wanted out of buying a place in Coronado, that they can get places and and start to build that independence so that they're not reliant on their mom all the time.
We did get involved in some, potential investment deal down in Imperial Beach. And so when we were looking at this deal, we were able to take Jamie's advice and, win out on a very competitive, bidding process. While we didn't actually go through with that purchase, Jamie was able to surface an easement that was not disclosed with the initial listing of the property. So we ended up backing out of that. I think that saved us there.
When we began my investment property search in Imperial Beach, I was looking for, a place that was relatively turnkey, so it'd be ready to have a renter. I had the advantage of cash. It gave me a competitive advantage against some of the other buyers. Leveraging that was probably the greatest value that Jamie brought to my search in Imperial Beach for this investment property. I was able to turn it around and have cash flow within 2 months of the purchase.
We managed to luck into a place that has room for a trampoline. And I was just like, Jamie, this is what I want for my kids. I can be where I want to be. I hope I'm living in our home until I'm 90.
We could not have bought the house from Austin without his help.
Jamie was anticipating all of the different steps that we were going to be going through. And that made the difference in being proactive and being ready for all of the inevitable curveballs that we had throughout the loan process.
Jamie kept us really safe and secure with this whole process. He anticipated the moves, made moves and counter moves, and it ended up working to our benefit, getting us in and finishing the process really well.
There was never a question that we were going to be ahead of the curve.
We were able to get a house that we shouldn't have been able to and not have to sell the current house that we're in, that Jamie found for us. And so now we're in a position where we can rent it out while living in a house that we want to live in forever with our kids and our family and stay in, which is kind of a big deal.
Jamie helped us put together meetings with a couple of builders. He sat in the house with us for several hours while we had a bunch of meetings, talked with us about what we thought about the house, the pros and the cons, the issues that we may face.
So now that we've worked with Jamie 3 separate times on 3 different transactions, there were several different professionals and trades that he brought in that have his same work ethic. So everyone from the inspector to the contractor to escrow, and every piece works as well as the next, and they all work as well as Jamie.
Most realtors don't offer the kind of personalized relationship that Jamie does. It just kept me excited about moving back to this place where we can be outside doing the things we love to do with our kids. I appreciated that he opened up his life and what he was doing and told us about his kids, and he wasn't afraid to become our friend. We always felt like he was professional but also a friend, and that's kind of a hard line to balance. And whether he likes it or not, he's stuck with us because
You can't work that many times with somebody and not create a personal relationship and learn to like each other and have a solid expectation.
Having worked with Jamie 3 different times now, we trust Jamie. We believe that Jamie will keep our interests, in front of his, and we believe that working with Jamie is absolutely in our best interest.
Jamie always answers his phone. He always gets back to us. He is proactive in his connections and the things that he finds, and he's easy to get a hold of, and he's always there when we have questions or when he finds something that we need, and it's easy.
One thing that I appreciated during the process was how organized Jamie was. For example, he created a Google document. Sometimes when I wouldn't have any idea what was going on, which was not Jamie's fault, that was my fault, I would go onto that document and I would right away know where we stood, what was going on, and having that level of organization, during the hectic times of a real estate deal is very, very helpful.
There was not a time when we asked Jamie something that he hadn't already thought about it. I, would say, what about this? And Jamie would be like, oh, it's right there in the Google Doc. It just really de-escalated what could be an incredibly stressful process. That was such a gift.
As a paralegal, I'm well aware of what it means to be a person's fiduciary representative. Jamie is trustworthy, always gives you the honest information, is very straightforward with you, and you can trust that when he's acting on your behalf with others, that your interests will be represented, and also that he will be fair with the professionals he's working with.
Jamie was a true fiduciary during this process, in the sense that we felt like throughout this process that he was looking after our interests. He wanted us to have the house that we wanted based on all the information we could possibly get at the time. The goal was for us as a family to be able to buy the house that we wanted for a price that we thought was fair, and to do that with our eyes open. That gave us comfort that we were making the right decision. It gave us comfort that we were working with the right realtor, and it was something that meant a lot to us because, to be quite frank, we hadn't always felt that way at the end of our real estate transactions prior to working with Jamie.
Jamie put us in a position to close on our forever house in one of the most competitive markets ever, and at a time where there was multiple cash offers and we really had no business even having a seat at the table. And Jamie's work beforehand made it so that we had a seat at that table, and then his work after made it so that we closed. And that's why we'll always use Jamie for all of our transactions in the future.
Someone who's looking at buying or selling real estate should work with Jamie because you know you can trust him. He's gonna work hard for you, he's gonna be honest, he's gonna show up when he says he's going to, and he's gonna do what he says he's gonna do. It's nice to have someone who's that calming influence while you're working with them in what can very much be a stressful situation. Jamie's also a very kind person, he's easy to work with. It's a pleasure doing business with Jamie because you know what you're gonna get, and he always comes through.
I think someone should work with Jamie if they're looking for someone who has hustle, someone who shows up, someone who cares. When you work with Jamie, you get a much more personalized experience than you get with 99% of other realtors. He's trustworthy, he's hardworking, he is creative. That's one thing that I remember just was so impressed by.
Jamie is the right choice for you for a realtor. If you want to work with someone who's trustworthy, will put the time in, make the process as fun as it possibly can be, and lead you to a place where you make a decision that you feel good about for your family, and you feel like you are doing so with your eyes wide open, knowing both the market and the property itself that you're buying. If you want all those things, Jamie's a great fit.